Noor was tired. The bright lights of the space station had never seemed so harsh, and the hum of engines in the walls kept her awake even after she returned from her long day. At the research lab, she dropped her bag near the small bed and flopped down onto it. The dorm was quiet, except for the faint buzz of the ventilation system and the soft beeping of her personal communicator. She closed her eyes, hoping for sleep. But something felt strange. A faint rustle, almost like footsteps, echoed outside her door. Noor sat up and listened. Nothing. She shook her head. It was probably just her imagination. The station was old. Noises traveled in strange ways. The next morning, Noor woke to the smell of something unusual. It wasn't like any breakfast she had ever smelled. She sat up and rubbed her eyes. Across the room, she saw a small creature sitting cross-legged on the floor. Its skin shimmered slightly, with colors that moved like liquid light. Two large eyes looked at her curiously. Hello? Noor asked, her voice shaky. The creature tilted its head and made a soft sound, almost like a hum. It didn't speak her language, but somehow Noor could feel its meaning. It seemed lost, confused. Noor got out of bed slowly. "You're not from here, are you?" she said. The creature shook its head slowly, then pointed to itself and made the hum sound again. Noor realized it wanted her attention, wanted help. "All right," Noor said, trying to stay calm. "I'll help you." The creature moved closer. Its movements were smooth, almost like it floated instead of walked. Noor noticed that it had no obvious clothing, but a strange, natural pattern ran over its skin, glowing softly. She had never seen anything like it. By the time the station authorities arrived, Noor had explained the situation as best she could. The creature didn't resist being examined, but it also didn't understand the scanners and strange machines humans used. The officers exchanged worried looks. "We can't keep it here long," said one of them. "We don't know what it is. It might be dangerous." Noor felt a tug of protectiveness. It's scared. It doesn't understand anything here. It just needs a place to stay, at least for a little while. After a long discussion, they allowed Noor to take temporary responsibility, but keep it under control. One officer warned, "And don't let it wander the station." Noor nodded. She looked at the creature, who now seemed to sense her trust. It tilted its head and made a happy hum. Noor smiled. "I guess we're roommates, for now," she said. That night, Noor tried to set up a small corner for her new roommate. She moved her things to one side of the room and placed a soft mat on the floor for it. She didn't know what the creature ate, so she put out some water and simple food items, hoping they would be okay. The creature watched everything carefully, its large eyes reflecting the soft light of the room. Noor couldn't sleep. She kept glancing at her roommate, fascinated. Its colors shifted gently, and the patterns seemed almost like a language, though she couldn't understand it. She wondered where it came from, which planet, which species. Why was it here, alone? Few days passed. Noor gave her new roommate a name, Kiro. It didn't speak, but it responded to the name with a cheerful hum. Slowly, Kiro began learning simple things. It mimicked Noor's actions, how she picked up objects, how she arranged her bed, even how she ate. Sometimes, its mimicry was perfect, and Noor laughed at the little gestures that looked almost human. But not quite. Noor found that Kiro had surprising intelligence. It could solve small puzzles she gave it, like opening containers or arranging objects in patterns she suggested. It was curious about everything: lights, buttons, computers, even the air vents. Every day brought something new, and Noor began to enjoy the company more than she expected. One evening, Noor came back from the lab to find Kiro examining her communicator. She crouched beside it. "Careful," she said gently. "That's expensive." Kiro paused and looked at her. Then it tapped the screen with one delicate finger, making it light up. Noor watched, amazed. Somehow, it understood the basics of technology better than most new interns. "Okay," she said. "You're clever. I'll give you that." The two of them began establishing small routines. Kiro learned where to sit, when to move quietly, and even when to rest. Noor found herself talking to it, explaining things about life on the station, about humans, about the stars. Kiro listened, sometimes humming, sometimes tilting its head, as if absorbing every word. One night, Nora woke suddenly. She felt a strange chill in the room. For a moment, she couldn't see anything. Then, a soft glow appeared near the foot of her bed. Kira was there, hovering slightly above the mat, looking around nervously. Its eyes were wide, and the shifting colors on its skin seemed faster than usual, almost frantic. Nora's heart raced. "Kiro, what's wrong?" she whispered. Kiro made a sound she had never heard before. It was urgent, almost musical, and then it pointed toward the door. Nora followed its gesture, and suddenly, she noticed a subtle vibration in the floor and walls. Something was coming, something she could not see. Fear mixed with curiosity. She didn't know what it was, but Kiro seemed to sense it before her, and she realized maybe Kiro had been trying to warn her. That night, Nora and Kiro stayed awake together, alert and silent, waiting to see what would happen next. It was the first time Nora truly felt that living with an alien could change her life in ways she had never imagined. By the early hours, she noticed the first hint of a strange energy flowing through the station, a shimmer in the hallway lights, a subtle hum in the walls. Kiro pointed to it again. Nora nodded slowly. "All right," she said, gripping the edge of the bed. "I trust you. Let's figure this out together." And in that quiet room, human and alien began the first chapter of a friendship that neither had expected but both would soon rely on. As the mysteries of the station and the galaxy started to reveal themselves. The next morning, Nora woke up to the usual hum of the space station, but something felt different. Kira was already awake, sitting neatly on the mat, its glowing patterns moving slowly in calming waves. Nora blinked at the alien roommate and realized that, somehow, Kiro had learned to stay in one place through the night. She smiled, feeling a small sense of pride. "Good morning, Kiro," she said, stretching her arms. Kiro tilted its head and hummed a soft, happy sound. Nora could almost imagine it smiling. Living with an alien had its challenges. Kiro's strange habits often made Nora laugh or panic a little. For example, Kiro sometimes tried to climb walls. Using its sticky fingers, Nora had to explain that walls in human rooms were not for climbing. Once, Kiro tried to drink from the water dispenser like a human, but instead of a cup, it stretched its long fingers into the nozzle. Water splashed everywhere. Nora laughed so hard she had tears in her eyes. Okay, she said, holding up her hands. "Maybe I need to teach you human ways more slowly." Kiro hummed again, tilting its head as if promising to try. They started creating small routines. Nora showed Kiro how to eat simple food items, like protein bars and fruit. Kiro's glowing patterns shifted in curious ways whenever it tasted something new. Nora found herself fascinated by how the alien's body responded. "Do you like it?" she asked, holding up a piece of fruit. Kiro picked it up delicately and tasted it. A soft shimmer ran across its skin, brighter than usual. Nora laughed. "Okay, that means yes. You like it." Despite the funny moments, Nora noticed that Kiro was extremely intelligent. It could solve small problems quickly, like opening a locked drawer or figuring out how to use the communicator. Kiro seemed to observe everything Nora did, learning from her actions. One afternoon, Nora had to leave for the lab. "Stay here, Kiro," she said, glancing at the alien. "Don't touch anything dangerous, okay?" Kiro hummed and nodded, its body glowing in soft blue tones. When she returned, she found Kiro sitting quietly, holding her communicator in one hand. Its glowing patterns flickered with curiosity. Nora froze for a moment. She had been worried that Kiro would break something, but the device was perfectly fine. Kiro handed it back to her with careful precision. "You're learning fast," Nora said. Kiro tilted its head and hummed proudly. Not everything was easy. Kiro sometimes reacted to the station's machinery in unexpected ways. The lights would flicker, or the air vents would hiss, and Kiro would jump or make loud hums. Nora had to explain that machines were harmless, and slowly, Kiro began to calm down. Despite the challenges, Noor found herself enjoying the alien's company. She talked to it about her work, the stars, and life on the station. Carol listened, sometimes tilting its head or making patterns glow brightly, as if absorbing every word. One evening, Noor decided to introduce Carol to something new, entertainment. She turned on a small screen and played a video of Earth landscapes, forests, mountains, oceans. Carol's patterns danced across its skin with colors Noor had never seen before. It reached out tentatively, as if trying to touch the mountains and trees. Noor laughed softly. "You like it, huh?" she said. Carol hummed happily, bouncing slightly. By the fourth day, Noor realized Carol was more than just a guest in her room. It was a friend. It had started to understand her routines, to anticipate her actions, and even to react when she was tired or upset. One night, she caught Carol arranging her things neatly while she slept. The alien had mimicked her own habit of keeping the room tidy. Noor shook her head, smiling. "You're too smart for your own good, Carol," she whispered. Their friendship grew stronger, and little adventures began every day. They explored the small corners of the space station, trying to find new gadgets or interesting lights. Carol was fascinated by the simplest things like the way water moved in zero gravity, or how buttons responded when pressed. Noor realized she had never looked at her world through such fresh, curious eyes. But the station wasn't entirely safe. Strange noises, small power fluctuations, and occasional alarms reminded them that the galaxy was unpredictable. Carol seemed more sensitive to these disturbances than humans. It would hum anxiously, its glowing patterns shifting rapidly whenever something unusual happened. Noor learned to trust its instincts, even when she couldn't explain them. One night, Noor was about to go to sleep when she noticed Carol staring at her bed. Its colors flickered in a pattern that suggested unease. Noor raised an eyebrow. "Carol, what is it?" she whispered. K.I.R.O. made a soft sound and pointed toward the wall. Noor followed its gaze and noticed a faint shimmer in the air near the corner of the room. It was subtle, almost like heat waves, but it didn't belong. Noor's heart raced. "Something's coming," she asked. Carol hummed urgently, moving closer to her. Its small hands rested lightly on her arm. Noor realized that her alien friend was trying to warn her. For the first time, Noor felt a mix of fear and trust. She didn't know what this shimmer meant, but Carol's instincts were rarely wrong. Together, they stayed awake, alert in the quiet room. Noor felt the presence of her friend beside her, and it gave her courage she didn't know she had. By the time the station lights dimmed for the night cycle, Noor and Carol had formed an unspoken bond. They understood each other without words, relying on gestures, hums, and glowing patterns. The human and the alien, so different in every way, were slowly learning to live together not just as roommates, but as friends facing the unknown. Noor smiled softly and whispered, "I guess life on this station is going to be more interesting than I thought." Carol hummed in agreement, its colors pulsing gently like a heartbeat. And so, in that quiet dorm room among the stars, human and alien began learning the first rules of living together: patience, curiosity, and trust. Little did they know that the night would soon bring challenges neither of them had ever imagined, and that their friendship would be tested in ways that could change the station and the galaxy forever. Noor slept fitfully that night, even after days of adjusting to life with Carol. She still felt a strange mix of excitement and unease. The quiet hum of the space station usually comforted her, but tonight it seemed different, slightly sharper, almost like it was warning her. Around the middle of the night, Noor woke suddenly. Something felt off. She squinted in the dim light of her room and froze. On her bed, sitting calmly at the foot, was Carol. "Carol?" Noor whispered, sitting up. The alien turned its large eyes toward her and hummed softly, but the sound carried an urgency Noor had never heard before. Its glowing patterns flickered faster than usual, moving in quick, uneven pulses. Noor's heart raced. "Why are you here? Like this?" she asked. Carol didn't answer with words it couldn't, but it gestured toward the door, then pointed at the walls. Noor frowned. Something was happening. She swung her legs off the bed and followed Kiro's lead. The alien moved silently, almost floating, toward the corner of the room near the wall. Noor noticed a subtle shimmer in the air, faint but undeniable. It wasn't a reflection. It wasn't a shadow. It was energy. Energy? Noor asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Kiro hummed urgently and made a sweeping gesture toward the hallway. Noor realized the shimmer extended outside the room, moving through the walls like liquid light. Her mind raced. A power surge? A leak? What is it? Kiro's glowing skin shifted again, almost like it was forming letters Noor could not read. She reached out, and the alien gently placed its small hand over hers. Somehow, the touch was reassuring. "All right," Noor said, trying to steady her nerves. "We'll figure it out together." Kiro hummed and nodded. The two moved carefully down the narrow corridor. Kiro seemed to sense every twist and turn, pointing out areas where the energy shimmered more strongly. Noor followed, holding her breath with every step. The usually familiar station now felt alien and dangerous. When they reached the central hub, Noor's eyes widened. The main control panels flickered, and the lights in the room pulsed in strange patterns. Kiro pointed to the ceiling, where small, floating lights seemed to bend unnaturally, as if something invisible was moving through them. Noor's mind raced. Could it be an intruder? She whispered. Kiro shook its head rapidly, then pointed to the energy again, as if saying, "Not a person, something else." The alien's instincts were clear. It was aware of something invisible to human senses, something moving through the station silently. Yet it carried power. Noor realized she had to trust Kiro completely. Suddenly, a soft hum filled the room, not from Kiro, but from the walls themselves. The energy shimmered faster, forming patterns that reminded Noor of Kiro's glowing skin. She stepped back, realizing that the energy might be intelligent, or at least aware. "Kiro, what do we do?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. Kiro's eyes seemed to focus, and it tapped her arm gently. Its glow shifted into a calm, steady pattern, as if saying, "Watch and learn." Noor took a deep breath and looked at the control panels. They were unresponsive to touch, but the energy seemed to respond to Kiro. Every time Kiro moved a hand, the shimmer slowed or shifted direction. Noor watched carefully, trying to understand the pattern. After several tense minutes, Noor noticed something. The energy moved in waves, as if searching for something. Kiro hummed and extended a finger toward the far wall. Noor realized the energy was avoiding a certain area. It was being guided, either by Kiro or by something else. "Do you want me to help?" she asked quietly. Kiro's hum became softer, almost approving. Noor reached out and touched the edge of the energy shimmer. To her surprise, it recoiled slightly, then settled into a rhythm that matched Kiro's gestures. Her pulse quickened. She had never experienced anything like this. The alien and the energy seemed connected in ways she could not explain. And yet, with Kiro's guidance, she could influence it just a little. Minutes felt like hours. The room glowed softly, the energy shifting and bending with every motion. Noor realized they were not just observing. It was a silent dance, a delicate balance between human, alien, and energy. Then, almost as suddenly as it appeared, the energy began to fade. The walls returned to their normal state, the light steadied, and the control panels responded again. Noor sank to the floor, exhausted but relieved. Kiro hopped onto the bed and curled up next to her, glowing softly in a calming blue pattern. "You did it?" Noor whispered, still trying to catch her breath. Kiro hummed gently and nudged her hand, as if saying, "We did it together." The experience left Noor both shaken and amazed. She had never imagined that an alien could sense things beyond human perception, let alone help her navigate something invisible and powerful. The bond between them had grown stronger in that single night. After a while, Noor finally lay back down. Kiro nestled beside her, glowing softly like a living nightlight. Noor felt a strange warmth, comfort, trust, and curiosity all mixed together. She realized that life on the station had changed forever. The quiet dorm, once ordinary, now held secrets and surprises she had never imagined. As she drifted back toward sleep, Noor whispered, "I guess having an alien roommate is even stranger. And more amazing than I thought," Kiro hummed softly. In response, and for the first time, Noor felt truly safe, even in the unknown. Outside the dorm, the station continued its usual hum, oblivious to the strange energy that had passed through it. But inside, human and alien lay side by side, ready to face whatever the galaxy had in store next. The night had shown them both that trust, courage, and curiosity could reveal wonders no one could have predicted. And as the first faint light of the station's day cycle filtered in, Noor realized something else. She was not just living with Kiro. She was part of something bigger, something mysterious, and something incredible. No one could know what would happen next, but Noor and Kiro, together, were ready to discover it. The next morning, Noor woke with a mixture of excitement and worry. Last night's events had left her both amazed and tense. She glanced at Kiro, who was already awake, sitting on its mat with glowing patterns moving slowly like soft waves. The alien's eyes followed her as she stretched. "Morning, Kiro," Noor said. The alien hummed a cheerful sound in response, but its glow shifted in an alert pattern. Noor knew that Kiro had sensed something unusual during the night, and she had a feeling it was not over. After breakfast, Noor decided to investigate. She and Kiro moved carefully through the dorm, then into the station's hallways. The corridors looked ordinary, but Noor noticed small, subtle signs that something was wrong. A light flickered where it usually didn't. A panel had been slightly moved, as if someone or something had been there. Kiro stopped suddenly, its large eyes focusing on the far end of the hallway. Its glowing patterns rippled faster, almost like a warning. Noor followed its gaze and saw a small metallic device half hidden behind a maintenance panel. The device emitted a faint pulse of energy similar to the shimmer they had felt last night. Noor crouched to examine it. "What is this?" she whispered. Kiro extended a finger and touched the device. Immediately, the glow round Kiro's body intensified. The device shivered, then went dark. "Noor, it's dangerous," Kiro seemed to say with its gestures and hums. Noor nodded, understanding. Somehow, Kiro could sense things humans couldn't, and whatever this device was, it was not ordinary. The two moved cautiously through the station, following the trail of energy pulses. Noor was amazed at how Kiro seemed to read the signals, almost like a map in its mind. Every so often, the alien would hum and point in a certain direction, guiding her away from hidden dangers. Finally, they reached a maintenance quarter near the outer section of the station. The energy shimmered stronger here. Noor could feel it in her hands when she touched a nearby railing. The air seemed heavier, charged with a strange presence. Kiro moved closer to the wall, placing its small hands against it. The glow across its body spread like a wave, and the energy shimmer responded. Noor watched in amazement as patterns of light danced between the alien and the hidden threat. It was as if Kiro was speaking to it, communicating in a language Noor could not understand. Suddenly, a small panel slid open, and a thin, spider-like device emerged. Its legs clicked on the floor, and a soft, mechanical whir filled the corridor. Noor froze. The device was scanning, moving with intelligence. Kiro hissed softly a warning. Its body glowed brighter, and it leapt toward the device, blocking its sensors. Noor gasped but stepped forward, realizing that Kiro was protecting her. The alien's small hands moved in careful motions, and the device froze, its lights blinking in confusion. "Good job, Kiro," Noor whispered. She helped guide the device back toward the maintenance panel, using her hands to gently push it while Kiro stabilized it. Together, human and alien worked as a team. Once the device was safely stored and deactivated, Noor breathed a sigh of relief. "I don't even want to think about what could have happened if it got loose," she said. Kiro hummed softly, its glow dimming as it relaxed, but the moment of relief was short. As they turned to leave, Noor noticed a flicker of movement on one of the nearby cameras. A shadow of figure had been watching them. Noor froze, realizing they were not alone. Kiro's body glowed with tension, its colors shifting rapidly. Noor grabbed the alien's hand. "We need to be careful. Someone Or something is watching us, she whispered. Kiro hummed in agreement, tilting its head as if scanning the air for more signs. They moved quickly but quietly, avoiding the main carters. Nor had never felt so alert in her life. Every sound, every shadow made her heart race. Kiro guided her to a small maintenance hatch, hidden behind some storage crates. It seemed almost as if the alien knew this place was safe. Inside the hatch, Nor and Kiro examined the station's systems. Kiro tapped panels and cables with its fingers, and the glowing patterns on its body pulsed in response to the station's hidden signals. Nor realized that whatever energy they had felt was part of a network and invisible system of devices scattered across the station. These devices, they're spying, Nor whispered, her mind racing. Or worse, they could be controlling something. Kiro's eyes widened slightly, then it hummed softly. Nur knew that the alien agreed. Together, they decided they had to disable the network before anyone noticed their interference. Nur worked on the human technology, carefully disconnecting panels and rerouting energy while Kiro moved along the walls, touching devices and calming the energy pulses. It was slow and tense. Worked every time a panel flickered or a device buzzed. Nur jumped, but Kiro stayed calm, guiding her hands and showing her the correct actions. By the end of the night, they had neutralized several hidden devices, rendering the network harmless at least for now. Exhausted, Nur slumped against the wall. Kiro floated beside her, glowing softly. I never imagined an alien could help me like this, Nur said quietly. Kiro hummed gently, leaning slightly against her shoulder. For the first time, Nur realized something profound. Humans had courage, curiosity, and quick thinking, but Kiro's alien abilities made them a perfect team. Together, they could face dangers neither could handle alone. As the station returned to its normal hum, Nur and Kiro sat in silence, both aware that this was only the beginning. Something bigger was out there, hiding in the shadows of the station, and they would need to be ready. Nur smiled faintly at Kiro. We make a good team, she said. Kiro hummed, its glowing patterns pulsing like a heartbeat. The human and the alien had discovered something important, not just the hidden threat, but the bond that had formed between them. In the quiet of the maintenance hatch, Nur realized that life on the station had changed forever. The ordinary dorm room, the familiar quarters, the routine of daily work, all of it had become a stage for something extraordinary. And as human and alien prepared for the challenges ahead, they both knew one thing: together, they could face anything. Outside, the station continued its orbit through space, oblivious to the small drama unfolding inside. But Nur and Kiro were ready. The hidden threat had been discovered, but the real adventure was just beginning, and neither of them could imagine how far it would take them. The morning after their discovery of the hidden devices, Nur woke feeling restless. The memory of last night's events, the energy pulses, the strange devices, Kiro's glowing patterns still lingered in her mind. She looked at Kiro, who was already awake and watching her with its large, curious eyes. Ready for another day? She asked, trying to sound cheerful. Kiro hummed softly, a gentle wave of blue light flowing across its skin. Nur smiled. Somehow, despite the danger, the alien's presence was comforting. They began their usual routines, but there was tension in the air. Nur couldn't shake the feeling that someone or something was still watching them. The station seemed ordinary to everyone else, but to Nur and Kiro, every shadow, every flicker of light could hide a threat. Nur decided to check the areas they hadn't yet explored. Kiro floated beside her, its glowing body pulsing with curiosity and caution. Together, they moved through the hallways, examining vents, panels, and maintenance quarters. Everywhere they went, the station seemed normal, but the subtle energy hum was stronger in some places. In one corridor, they discovered another device, smaller than the first, embedded in a wall panel. Nur froze. It's watching us, she whispered. Kiro hummed urgently, moving closer to the panel. Its fingers brushed against the device, and the glow on its body surged. The device powered down instantly, as if Kiro had commanded it. Nur's eyes widened. You're incredible. she said softly. Kiro tilted its head, almost shyly, and hummed. Nora realized that the alien's abilities were not just unusual, they were powerful. As the day went on, Nora and Kiro continued disabling hidden devices throughout the station. Each one was more challenging than the last. Some emitted high-pitched signals, others projected invisible fields that made the air tingle. Nora had to think quickly, combining her knowledge of human technology with Kiro's alien instincts. By evening, they had neutralized several devices, but Nora noticed a pattern. The devices were not random, they formed a network, a hidden system. Spanning much of the station, someone had planned this carefully. They're not just spying, Nora said quietly. They're preparing for something bigger. Kiro's glowing patterns flickered in agreement. Nora felt a chill. The station, once familiar and safe, now felt like a trap waiting to be sprung. Suddenly, an alarm echoed through the station. Red lights flashed, and the hum of machinery changed. Nora grabbed Kiro's hand. It's starting, she whispered. The alien's body glowed intensely, and it leapt beside her, ready to act. They raced toward the central hub, following the path of the energy pulses. The main control panels flickered wildly, and small mechanical devices scuttled across the floor, activating hidden systems. Nora realized that the threat was no longer hidden, it had begun. Kiro moved with precision, touching devices and redirecting energy flows. Nora worked beside it, rerouting panels and pressing emergency overrides. The two of them moved as one, human and alien in perfect coordination. Station personnel began to notice the alarms and gathered in the hallways, confused and scared. Nora and Kiro ignored them, focusing on the immediate danger. Every second counted. A particularly large device activated near the central hub. It projected a thin, shimmering field that blocked their path. Nora hesitated, unsure how to proceed. Kiro touched the field, and its body glowed brightly. The field wavered, then folded inward, allowing them to pass. Nora gasped in amazement. You can do that? She asked. Kiro hummed softly, as if saying, we do it together. They reached the heart of the hub, where the largest device awaited. It pulsed with energy, scanning the room and threatening to overload the station's systems. Nora studied it carefully. If we don't stop it, the whole station could be in danger, she said. Kiro's glowing patterns intensified, matching her urgency. Nora thought quickly. She used her knowledge of human technology to create a diversion, triggering nearby panels to confuse the device. Kiro moved through the waves of energy, touching critical points and slowly shutting it down. Together, they managed to neutralize the device before it could cause harm. Station personnel finally arrived at the hub. Witnessing the aftermath, they were stunned. The devices had been deactivated, the station safe, but no one could explain how. Nora and Kiro stood side by side, breathing heavily, their bond stronger than ever. You saved the station, one officer said, finally finding words. Nora smiled faintly. We did it together, she said, glancing at Kiro. The alien hummed softly, its colors pulsing like a heartbeat. For the first time, Nora realized something important. Humans were not weak. They were resourceful, brave, and capable of facing challenges that seemed impossible. And when combined with an ally like Kiro, their potential was limitless. That night, Nora returned to her dorm, exhausted but proud. Kiro floated beside her, its soft glow illuminating the room. Nora sat on her bed and watched the alien carefully arrange the small devices they had collected. You were amazing today, she said softly. Kiro hummed, tilting its head. Nora smiled. I never thought having an alien roommate could be like this. You're not just different, you're incredible. Kiro responded with a gentle hum and nudged her hand, as if sharing the moment of pride. Nora realized that their friendship had grown beyond curiosity and learning. They trusted each other completely, and that trust had saved the station. Outside, the station continued its orbit, calm and silent, unaware of the small drama that had unfolded. But inside the dorm, Nora and Kiro sat together, two unlikely heroes who had faced danger and emerged stronger. Nora lay back on her bed, watching Kiro's glowing patterns fade into a soft, steady rhythm. She felt a sense of peace. The adventure was not over, but for now, they had succeeded. Together, human and alien had proven that courage, trust, and teamwork could overcome even the most unexpected challenges. As she drifted to sleep, Noor whispered, "We make a good team, Kiro." "The best team," Kiro hummed softly, leaning slightly against her shoulder, and for the first time, Noor felt that no matter what the galaxy threw at them, they could face it together. The next morning, Noor woke with a sense of urgency. The events of the previous night, the hidden devices, the energy pulses, and the near disaster had left her uneasy. Something larger was at play. Kiro's glowing patterns flickered with quiet alertness, as if it to sense that more challenges were coming. Noor sat on her bed, staring at her alien roommate. "We did a lot yesterday, Kiro," she said softly, "but I feel like it's not over. Something bigger is waiting for us." Double quotes, Kiro hummed softly, moving closer and tilting its head. Almost in agreement. Noor knew she had a choice. She could alert the station authorities and risk the aliens' network spreading before it was fully understood, or she could act carefully with Kiro and try to neutralize the threat herself. The first option might be safer, but it would take time, and the unknown devices could activate again. Acting alone, or rather, with Kiro, was risky, but it could prevent disaster immediately. She looked at Kiro, whose large eyes seemed to understand her thoughts. The alien's glowing patterns shifted in a calm rhythm, giving her a sense of confidence. Noor realized that Kiro trusted her, and she had to trust Kiro in return. "All right," she said finally. "We'll do it ourselves. We can't wait," Kiro hummed, its body pulsing with steady light. Together, they began to plan. First, they mapped out the station, marking areas where energy pulses had been strongest. Kiro's alien senses helped locate hidden devices that humans could not detect. Noor wrote down the locations, connecting them with lines to understand the network's structure. It was complex, but together, they could see the pattern emerging. They discovered that the devices were not just scattered randomly, they formed a grid that could control the station's main systems if activated. The potential danger was enormous. Lights, doors, communications, even life support could be manipulated. Noor felt a chill. "Kiro, if we don't disable these devices, the whole station could be at risk," she said quietly. Kiro's patterns brightened, almost like a heartbeat, signaling determination. Noor felt reassured. They had faced danger before, but now the stakes were higher. Noor and Kiro decided to move in stages. First, they would disable the devices in the outer corridors, then work toward the central hub. Kiro guided her with subtle gestures, pointing out areas where human senses could not detect the energy. Every step required precision and focus. As they moved through the corridors, Noor marveled at Kiro's abilities. The alien seemed to understand the devices instinctively, touching panels and cables in ways Noor could not have imagined. Together, they neutralized each device, often working in perfect coordination. But halfway through their mission, they encountered a new challenge. A larger device blocked their path, its energy field thicker and more intense than anything they had seen. Noor hesitated, unsure how to proceed. Kiro's glowing pattern shifted rapidly, signaling urgency. The alien touched the device, and a low hum filled the corridor. The field wavered but did not collapse. Noor thought quickly. She studied the device and noticed a small access panel on its side. "I think I can reroute the power," she whispered. Kiro hummed softly, staying close to guide her movements. Noor opened the panel and began carefully adjusting the circuits. Sparks flew, but Kiro's calming glow kept the energy in check. After tense minutes, the device powered down, and the energy field dissipated. Noor exhaled deeply. "That was too close," she said, looking at Kiro. The alien hummed softly, as if acknowledging the danger had passed. As they continued, Noor realized something important. Humans had creativity, courage, and quick thinking, but Kiro's alien abilities amplified their effectiveness. Alone, either of them might have struggled. Together, they were unstoppable. By the time they reached the central hub, Noor and Kiro were exhausted but determined. The largest device of all awaited them, pulsing with powerful energy. It seemed to sense their approach, projecting waves of force that made the air hum and vibrate. Noor felt a shiver run down her spine. "Kiro, we have to act carefully," she whispered. The alien responded with a bright, steady glow, signaling readiness. They approached the device, moving with precision and trust. Noor manipulated human controls while Kiro touched the device directly, calming the energy and redirecting it safely. Slowly, steadily, they neutralized the final device. The energy pulses faded, the station's systems returned to normal, and a quiet calm settled over the corridors. Noor sank to the floor, exhausted but relieved. Kiro floated beside her, glowing softly, its patterns gentle and reassuring. For the first time, Noor realized the full importance of their teamwork. Humans had determination and creativity, but aliens had abilities beyond human senses. Together, they could achieve things neither could accomplish alone. Noor looked at Kiro and smiled. "We did it," she said softly. Kiro hummed in response, leaning slightly against her shoulder. The bond between them had grown deeper than ever. They had faced danger, uncertainty, and incredible power, and they had succeeded. That night, Noor lay on her bed, watching Kiro's glowing patterns pulse. Like a gentle heartbeat, she thought about the decision she had made, to trust her instincts, to rely on Kiro, and to act rather than wait. It had been risky, but it had worked. Outside, the station continued its orbit silently, unaware of the hidden dangers that had been removed. Inside, Noor and Kiro rested, their friendship stronger and their confidence in each other absolute. They had faced something larger than themselves and come through victorious. Noor whispered softly, "Tomorrow, we might face something new. But I know one thing, Kiro, we can handle it together." Kiro hummed gently, its glow steady and warm, as if agreeing completely. And in the quiet of the dorm, human and alien drifted into sleep, ready for whatever the galaxy might bring next. Their courage, trust, and teamwork had proven that even in the face of danger, two unlikely friends could make a difference and perhaps even change the course of the station's future. The station had returned to its usual rhythm. Lights hummed steadily, corridors felt safe, and the crew went about their daily routines. But Noor knew better. She had learned to trust Kiro's instincts, and the alien's glowing patterns pulsed. Softly, almost like a quiet warning, something was still happening. Noor sat on her bed, studying Kiro carefully. "Do you feel it too?" she asked softly. Kiro tilted its head and hummed, its glow shifting in quick, alert patterns. Noor nodded, understanding that Kiro was sensing something unusual. "We need to check," she said. Together, they moved through the corridors, scanning panels, vents, and maintenance hatches. The station seemed ordinary, but the subtle energy pulses were still there, faint but undeniable. Noor followed Kiro's lead, trusting the alien completely. As they approached a rarely used storage section, the energy grew stronger. Noor felt it in the air's subtle vibration that made the hairs on her arms stand up. Kiro's glow intensified, and it floated ahead, gently nudging her forward. Suddenly, a door slid open, revealing a hidden chamber Noor had never noticed before. Inside, a large console pulsed with energy, connected to a network of devices that had somehow survived their previous efforts. Noor's heart raced. "Kiro, there's more," she whispered. The alien floated closer to the console, its patterns shifting rapidly. It touched a panel, and the energy reacted, swirling and bright. Orcs. Noor realized that this was not just a leftover system, it was active, intelligent, and aware of their presence. A sudden movement caught Noor's eye. A figure stepped out from the shadows. It was not human, nor was it like Kiro. The alien's body shimmered with metallic colors, and his eyes glowed softly. Noor froze. Who are you?" she asked cautiously. The figure hummed, a sound that was both strange and familiar. Then it spoke not in words, but in gestures. Like a language of light, Kiro responded immediately, touching the figure. Gently, the patterns across both aliens' bodies shifted in recognition. Noor watched in awe as the two communicated silently, exchanging pulses of color and light. She realized that this new alien was not a threat, it was an ally, connected to the network they had been disabling. Somehow, it had been waiting for someone like Kiro to arrive. The metallic alien gestured toward the console, then extended a hand toward Noor. Noor hesitated, then placed her hand gently on the console. The energy pulses shifted, calmer now. Responding to both her human touch and the guidance of the two aliens, Kiro hummed softly, glowing brightly, and the metallic alien mirrored the patterns. Together, human and aliens worked as one, stabilizing the network and neutralizing the remaining devices. Noor felt a sense of wonder. She had never imagined humans could participate in something like this. But her courage and curiosity mattered. Minutes passed like hours, but finally, the energy pulses faded completely. The console powered down. The devices went silent, and the hidden chamber felt safe. Noor looked at Kiro and then at the metallic alien. All three of them had succeeded. The new alien moved closer to Noor and tapped gently on her shoulder. Noor felt a strange warmth of recognition, a quiet thank you for her bravery. Kiro hummed in agreement, its patterns calm and steady now. You helped us, Noor whispered softly, realizing the truth. Her actions had mattered, her trust in Kiro, her quick thinking, and her courage had made a real difference. The alien's gestures seemed to say, yes, you are important. You are part of this. Noor smiled. I never imagined I could do something like this, she said. Glancing at Kiro, the alien nudged her hand gently, as if to say, together, anything is possible. The metallic alien then turned and gestured toward a small hatch. Noor realized it was leading them out of the hidden chamber. Back into the station quarters, Kiro floated beside her, glowing softly, and Noor followed the guidance of both aliens carefully. When they emerged, the station looked ordinary again, peaceful and quiet. The crew was unaware of the events that had just unfolded. But Noor didn't mind. She knew the truth. She had faced danger, trusted an alien friend, and discovered courage she didn't know she had. Noor sat on her bed later, reflecting on the events. Kiro floated beside her, glowing softly in the calm light of the dorm. We did it, Kiro, she whispered. The alien hummed gently, tilting its head for the first time. Noor felt truly connected not just to Kiro, but to something larger. The universe was vast and mysterious, filled with challenges and surprises, but also with allies and friendships beyond imagination. She realized that humans, with courage and curiosity, could make a real difference in ways even aliens recognized. Kiro leaned closer, nudging her hand. Noor smiled. You're more than a roommate, Kiro, she said. You're a friend. And together, we can face anything. Outside, the station continued its orbit silently, stars twinkling in the vast emptiness of space. But inside, in a quiet dorm room, a human and her alien companion shared a bond that was stronger than anything she had known. They had faced hidden threats, unknown energy, and intelligent systems, but together, they had succeeded. And as Noor drifted into sleep, she felt a sense of peace. She knew adventures awaited them, challenges both small and great. But with Kiro by her side and now an unexpected ally, she felt ready for whatever the galaxy might bring. The night was calm, the station quiet, and for the first time in weeks, Noor smiled without worry. The world was vast, the universe unpredictable, but together, human and alien had discovered something extraordinary: courage, trust, and friendship that could change everything. And in the gentle glow of Kiro's body, Noor understood the truth. Life was more amazing when you faced it together, and sometimes, the most unexpected roommates could teach you the greatest lessons of all.